Joining me now is Craig Douglas on this week's Educating Mid-Michigan segment. We're going to be discussing some of the roles and programs of the U.S. Department of Education, and hot topic right now. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Of course. And now tell us, Craig, what are some of the roles and responsibilities of the department?
Well, time doesn't permit to go into everything, but I'll highlight a couple things, Cheryl. You know, I'm a retired school superintendent, so I saw the U.S. Department of Ed during my career provide support and oversight in so many ways. If ever there was any kind of a complaint that came up through school systems in our region, many times that fell in the Office of Civil Rights or something that the Department of Ed had a hand in. Way back when Title IX became in effect, that certainly was deployed through the Department of Ed. So a lot of support and oversight. And then secondly, your airways are full of potential cuts in funding, federal funds, and the U.S. Department of Ed has oversight in those funds. In my former district, we relied heavily on Title I funds, for example. And then any college student would know about the federal student loan program. There are grants. I remember we had a technology grant that was a federal grant. So all those funding pieces are a second part of this. My iPhone blew up today with updates from various educational advocate groups in Michigan that are saying, hey, no, don't dismantle, don't dismantle. So the bottom line for your viewers, especially for parents, I think, is to monitor the situation. If you have a special education student, there are a lot of federal funds that come through for special education support. So I can continue on and on because it's a really big can of worms. It really is.
And we're just kind of in a state of not knowing what exactly is going to happen. So you make a good point for parents and students, you know, really just monitoring, staying abreast of all of the changes and keeping yourself educated. You mentioned some of those programs funded by the Department of Education. I mean, what would happen if the U.S. Department of Education closes?
So exactly, that is the fundamental question. What would happen? Would the funds continue? Would the funds, the job functions in the funds then fall to the state level? Would it fall to the local levels? Would they disappear? Would they be readjusted? Those are all big questions. You know, another program I didn't think to rattle off, hot lunch program. We have a lot of federal support for student lunches. So there are a lot of question marks, and I don't mean to create panic, but I think it's important for parents, I'll go back to parents, staying in contact with their local schools, getting a read on how they're seeing things, because they're getting information you and I are not getting through their contacts and their channels, and just trust that the local leaders will do the best they can to advocate for their local children.
Yeah, and so until we have answers, just contact your local resources. Where else can people go for all of that information to stay updated?
TV 12 is a great source. I mean, you've done a great job of updating and getting a reading, a pulse, if you will, of the local educators and what they're seeing. But I think just stay connected to local, state, and national news, watching the web, looking for updates.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. This is such a hot topic right now, so I'm sure we're going to need to have you back in the future as we see how things play out. And thanks so much, Craig, for being here. We'll let you head home before all that snow hits, okay?
What snow?